Mojang have honestly done a great job at implementing and fleshing out the armadillo this year, to the point where people who voted for other mobs are actually pretty impressed by it. That is a good sign, but also because they will be finished with it before 1.21 in this update right here, it means that they have time to go back for the glow squid. That's right, according to this popular post and Mojang's own article where they did a mob menagerie, they say that our glow in the dark stuff will be even better in the future. It might already be better by the time you're reading this. Minecraft is getting better and better too, so keep a lookout for a new update in the next few months. This is a really good idea to go back and address some of the biggest criticisms of previous year's mob vote winners. The glow squid doesn't actually glow in the way a lot of people expect, so what if they actually fix that? It would be incredible, right? Except bad news for you. As viral as this post has gone, and as many people who believe there is going to be a glow squid update, this mob menagerie article does talk about the glow squid at first, but like most other articles that Minecraft has done of this type, they're trying to teach you about the real world via Minecraft. And so the last 4 paragraphs are all talking about bioluminescence and phosphorescing and zinc sulfide, and so sadly that is the context for our glow in the dark stuff getting better in the future. And with regards to looking out for a new update in the next few months, I think they're talking about update 1.21, and so this article is really confirming that they're sticking to their usual schedule of releasing their big update each year in the summer. They could have changed it up for 1.21, but it looks like not based on this article, so at least there's something exciting being confirmed here. And as much as it is fun for me to debunk things, this is a bummer for me too. I would love to see an updated version of each of these mobs from previous year's mob vote winners, but while we're debunking things anyway, it is worth saying that Mojang is finally adding hardcore to Bedrock, and this comment with 1,100 likes says it only took 7 years to add this parity feature. Bravo, Mojang. And you know what? I want to say they're wrong when they say it took 7 years to add this simple parity feature, because actually it came to the Java edition in 1.0, which was 2011, and so it actually took them 13 years to add this parity feature from Java to Bedrock, which then makes the 9 years it took to make the squid into the glow squid look like it was positively decent, right? Anyway, with the same line of thinking, we will come back to the glow squid, but it is worth saying that the hardcore news is actually what led to us learning about Amplified coming to the Bedrock edition, something which is very fascinating. And also we have 4J Studios directly responding to the Minecraft rival accusations that they've been working on. I thought this was absolutely fascinating, but first things first, I want to respond to Goofy Gaming's comment, which is, look, I'm glad they're adding hardcore, but literally what are they talking about? What is there to make sure they get right about adding 8 pixels to the heart texture and disabling respawning? Something which is really valid. You might be saying, especially if you're a Java player, why would it take 13 years just to add a hard difficulty with a lock on it? Surely that can't be possible. Well, actually, there's a really interesting thread where a developer talks about this, and it spawned from this tweet by some weird guy who has an owl in a profile picture, who says the delay in the introduction of hardcore is down to the number of def bugs being substantially higher on Bedrock than on Java. This is a smart reason to explain its absence, but also cool to hear they intend to fix them. And then David, Corner Hard MC, he is the lead of Minecraft Realms, says we also had to add spectator mode first, and spectator was more work than you might expect. After that, the weird guy with cat in his name responds, it's interesting how much work don't respawn when you die actually creates if you're having to create it from near scratch. And then Corner Hard actually responds by saying, if you sit down and write a full Word doc of, what actually is all of the work in hardcore mode for Java, we need every detail. It's a lot of pages, much longer than the Minecraft wiki page on hardcore, for example. Here is that, by the way, and it's a good point that there's a lot of extra work that goes into a feature like this that isn't necessarily visible on the surface, and the biggest one, in my opinion, is fixing bugs that would make people lose their hardcore worlds through no fault of their own. Although, to be fair, they could have added hardcore mode without spectator mode, because it was added to Java 4 years before spectator mode came along. This is 100% true, and it's one of the biggest weird parts of feature parity. The longer they wait to add a feature from Java to Bedrock, the harder it actually gets. Because Java is slowly just updating something they have over time, bringing all of those features over to Bedrock is near impossible. It's the same way that it would be really hard to port Minecraft to a whole new language now and have it still be the same as Java or Bedrock. The more work you do on something, the more complex the code gets, and the harder it gets to port over to another edition. And a similar vein to this is actually Corner Hard responding to this thread, where he says we took a look at doing Amplified during the Caves and Cliffs timeframe, that is, adding Amplified, one of the Java edition and console edition exclusives, over to the Bedrock edition, but it ended up being too much complexity. Hopefully in the future, I really like playing Amplified worlds, and here is a fun fact. There are features that Minecraft Xbox 360 and Minecraft PlayStation 3 had, i.e. consoles from 2005 and 2006, that are still not replicated in Minecraft Series X and Minecraft PS5. That is to say that almost 20 years later, there are some pieces of tech that have not gotten better, but have actively gone downhill, and Amplified is a classic classic example of that from the Xbox One and PS4, but the interesting thing about this is you might think this is a limited thing because of the console edition to Bedrock Switch, but it's actually happened on the Java edition as well. So let me show you the newest version of Java with these menus that we're all loving, and let me try and show you the customized world type, something that came to Minecraft in 2012 if I'm not mistaken. And if I look through right now, we've got super flat, which I can customize, although not as well as the console edition back in Xbox 360. I've got large biomes, although who really wants that? I've got amplified, but I don't have anywhere in here the ability to customize my world fully. That was lost to time with the Caves and Cliffs update. Certain advancements forwards do require taking small steps back in other places, the famous example of this being, I guess performance overall, and so as much as it's fun to have amplified, it's sad that we don't have anything else. Although let's see what amplified is all about with the new terrain, because I mean, honestly, this looks like a normal seed. I could be playing a regular Caves and Cliffs seed right now. I would have no clue with it. Honestly, if you think about it, amplified is one of the coolest features that Java has that Bedrock doesn't on the surface, but after they added the Caves and Cliffs update, it's mostly amplified already. I wonder what it is that went wrong about the amplified code, because look at this. This just, are we sure that I clicked that button when I made this world? I think custom super flat is the feature we should be craving much more as a community, although according to this poll, the feature that my subscribers want most, brought from Java to Bedrock, is not a pause screen that pauses or amplified, but by far is actually the ability to use the offhand slot. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Imagine if you have a block, wouldn't it be nice if you could use it in your offhand like so? Right now, there is no offhand slot. There is no way to know what is there, and so we have one fewer inventory slot on Bedrock than on Java. At this point though, I might be combining too many issues together, which is exactly what I've been doing with add-ons recently, and question from Needy Llama is, do the creators of add-ons in the marketplace have full freedom to make their add-on free or paid, or does Mojang decide it? Well, as you all know, there are very few pieces of free content in the rest of the marketplace, but for add-ons, more pieces of content are free than not right now, and this raises the question of whether this is a Mojang decision or a marketplace decision. Obviously, I can't answer using anything that I've learned from IBX Toy Maps, although I don't think we can even make add-ons as a team, so I'm fairly sure I don't have any privileged information, but the answer to whether it's having to be free or not, I would imagine that Mojang, based on the fact that many teams have a free and a paid add-on, basically said if you want to make the paid add-on, you should make a free one. Or maybe they offer to pay people for their free add-ons and that's why there's so many of them, but I imagine that there isn't full freedom because there isn't full freedom for other maps, but that's something that is entirely speculation. Speaking of speculation about add-ons, Adam Harrison Aros says, how does Ancient Debris / Netherite hold up to Colossal TNT, i.e. will Colossal TNT make Ancient Debris mining easier? You know what? I can't help but want to know the answer to this question, and so let's find out. Oh god, I hope I can get away in time. Okay, well, the answer is a little hard to tell right now because the game has slowed down to a crawl. However, if I come towards the center, it looks as though the Ancient Debris does in fact survive, and so this is a good way to mine for it if you can deal with the lava. I'll be honest with you, I was just looking for an excuse to use Colossal TNT in the Nether because it is fun. Speaking of fun, you might have a lot of fun if you're a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 user who is looking to play the preview versions of Minecraft. That might be where you can pick up hardcore for the first time. However, a really weird caveat about this that is true, Mason the Ender Kid, it is not available for disc owners, which is so unfair. This is a really weird rule that Minecraft has regarding previews. It's true for Xbox One as well. If you own a disc copy of the game, you cannot use the previews. Now, although I think that immediately my thoughts go to saying, like, isn't this unfair? Isn't this saying that disc version users are like second-class citizens and it's discriminating against people who actually want to own their games and not have them taken away arbitrarily? I have lots of opinions about that, but also, despite me believing that it is really important that people own games, I would have to say in this case, it's probably a technological limitation because when you own a disc, you own the license to play that game alongside the game, but it's withheld on a piece of physical media. However, if you have a digital copy, it's kind of stored together too, but this means that if you were to download another game, let's say the preview, it's effectively an entirely different Minecraft, there are no achievements, etc. If you downloaded another game that you use that same license for, it'd be stored in the same place, whereas if you were to download another game and you needed a license from your disc, it sounds like it would be a bit of tech that maybe could be solved, but that Minecraft or Sony or Xbox have not gone through the process of solving, and I do think that's really annoying for console players, but if you're not a console player and you found the last of that segment be a little bit boring, let me tell you that this is not true. I've got lots of very attractive women with just their butts showing as their profile pictures, all commenting at the exact same time that my content is incredibly interesting. Don't question that fire alarm that seemed to have gone off for a second there. And so as a result, I can say that I make very good content. We also have this comment from TomBear2675, which I wanted to dive into, because a lot of YouTubers receive this and just say, that's real good. And I want to say thank you very much for not having played Minecraft in 8 years, but still being a loyal Toycat viewer. You can tell they are because they watch the house under the house under the house. But I'd like to talk about something interesting that happens as a piece of entertainment gets older, in this case a YouTube channel. Something that happens to a lot of older YouTubers is slowly as they grow bigger and bigger, their audiences start being less interested in the content that drew them there in the first place, and potentially more interested in the, the personality of the creator, which sounds like a really good thing, and it is desirable and has upsides in its own right. But if you just want a little bit of insight in case this is interesting to you, it also has the downside that people stop being interested in finding the same thing that would lure other people to the channel, say interesting, weird secret facts about Minecraft or weird ways you can use fireworks, and instead are more interested in the personality. This is why so many old YouTube channels, their most few videos are the ones where they have a scandal or where they announce that they're stopping YouTube or whatever else. It's because people were interested in seeing what they were up to, but not necessarily the things they were actually doing with that time. And a popular example of this might be Star Wars, for example. Everyone has these really fond memories of it, but whenever a new one comes out, they're like, oh no, I just want to see the old one, but kind of remade again. And a great example that I watched recently is I finally went and watched Dune Part 1 because Part 2 is coming out, and it was a 2.5 hour long movie, and it's only Part 1 of the entire story. And then I went and looked up the original Dune movie from the 90s, the 70s. It's a quite old movie, and the exact same plot line happens in both of them, except that movie does it in an hour and 40 minutes, whereas the current one does it across 2.5 hour movies. The people who are fans of the original are so excited to see the original story told over 5 hours, but someone like me is just like, but I want to learn about why I need to care about this universe first, and then I want to blow 5 hours of my time in it, which is a problem that so many cinematic properties eventually have. It is hard to lure new people in at the same time as having existing viewers be happy, and that is why I think every show eventually has a death spiral towards the end. I do hope we don't have that here on YouTube, and I think a big part of that is experimenting with new content, something I do quite frequently, and as long as people are interested in those experimentations and aren't just saying, no, we want to see the same thing but again and again and again, then I think that that is a good sign. But we'll have to wait and see. I think, funnily enough actually, we can apply this back to Minecraft and say that Mojang made the game that is the most popular concept from the last couple decades, honestly. Minecraft is very wildly successful. Anyone who plays it immediately falls in love with it, I do tend to find. However, when it comes to trying to lure in new audiences who haven't already played it and found the perfect underlying game loop, it's really hard to work out updates that will make those people happy and also bring existing players back in without diluting that original experience. This is why it's so hard for Minecraft updates to be so perfect. That's why I think we do have to praise the armadillo design, and that's why I think that updating the glow squid is actually a pretty decent idea, because many people's criticisms of it is just like, well, it's exactly a squid except it glows and it has a really cool drop. If you just made the glow squid part of the squid a little bit more interesting, then you could have people that were happy with the design, in the same way that I think the armadillo having a tiny bit of personality, having an item that actually feels like it's going to be useful, is actually brought a lot of people on the side of it. I do think that really playing around with stuff and tweaking and trying to get things perfect is something that is much, much harder to do as you go on with things, and that is something that I want to, give 4J some praise for, because they're currently working on a game in the competition to Minecraft, you might say, and so their chairman, Van der Karl, actually sat down with MSN, which apparently still exists, to do a quick article about, interview about it, and interestingly they say the team was for more than 10 years working on one game when we started moving ourselves from Minecraft onto what comes next. Paddy, the CEO, and I just said, guys, go have some fun. We honestly don't care if nothing comes out of it, it's fine. And well, lots of good things came out of it. We gave time to develop ideas that people loved into something more. Then he says that, not surprisingly, Minecraft is probably not our last foray into sandbox gaming. The audience will want to see us do something. We get that. We're asking for them to indulge us for a little bit as we go off down the couch co-op route for a little while. More specifically, I ask if this means 4J is working on a Minecraft rival, something I'd seen fans calling for online ever since the studio ceased its porting duties. We've got way too much respect for Mojang to ever respect that we could do a rival to Minecraft, because Minecraft is Minecraft, after all, the world's biggest game, so nothing is going to rival that. There's going to be interesting stuff from us before too long. For us, that's incredibly exciting, but it's probably going to be a game that will grow, and it might have smaller projects within the game. Before Manic Mechanics, the last last game that 4J Studios worked on was Minecraft Nintendo Switch Edition in 2017. But yeah, they say this really interesting quote after, which is nobody knows what's going to be huge next. Nobody saw Power World coming a few weeks ago, so for us it's like, don't follow trends, don't have expectations, just do a game that you want to make and be able to afford it. You're not going to see us throwing 100 million at the wall and fingers crossed it's all going to work. And then finally, what people want is a really great game, and they'll always want really great games. This is hopefully a good sign for what they're working on. They're not spending hundreds of millions on it, but they are going to make what they consider to be a great game. And although it's not going to be a Minecraft rival in that sense of the word, they're not aiming to be just as big as Minecraft, but they are going to hopefully be a good game in the sandbox genre, which to me is a very exciting prospect. Hopefully you like that little bit of an insight into what's going on with 4J, as well as the update to playing a preview using a disc, and the hardcore update, and the amplified. And honestly, there's been a lot of news today about everything but the glow squid, it seems, which is where my question I would like to ask you for today's Q&A Saturday is going to come from. Which of the mobs from previous year's mob votes do you think could most do with an update? I've heard a lot of people say it should be the sniffer or the glow squid. I think they're in recent memory. I've heard no one say it should be the frog, but personally, the logical choice should be the phantom. I think with a little rework, people could be actually excited about seeing one in their world. Maybe, just maybe, if we all just dream. But yeah, I do think there is a lot of room for updating a lot of those mobs, so I'd like to hear your opinions. I'd also like to hear if you'd consider subscribing to this channel, because I enjoy making these videos. I hope you've been enjoying the extra effort and time that's been going into these. If you had, consider subscribing or liking or showing support in some way, because let's be honest, this is a parasocial relationship. I'll have no idea if you do it, but I'll appreciate the vague collective output if you do anyway. And you know, that sounds a little weird, doesn't it? You know, I'll just end the video before I say anything else strange. Thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and have a good day. Bye.